All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's April 7th. Wow, we are 1 week into the second quarter. Can you believe that already? Crazy stuff. All right, we were very fortunate today from the Southwest office to have the number 4 team, okay, always in the top 5 since I've been here, Mr. Chris McGarey. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rick. Glad to be here.
All right, my
Very
man.
excited to be here.
Cool. Well, tell us a little about yourself, how long you've been doing this good stuff, because I haven't had you on in a while, so let's hear all that good stuff.
Excellent. So what I briefly grew up in Scottsdale in the 1980s, and I'm the youngest of 7 kids. Mother was a single mom, raised us. She was in real estate in Scottsdale for 42 years. And when it was my turn at the bat, it was not a good time to be. I was in commercial, so it wasn't a good time to be in commercial. So I took an offer of moving to Orange County, another place where we have some offices, and worked there for 3 years for a great company. And then they said, "Hey, can you go to Vegas for 6 months?" And I said, "I don't know about Vegas." And I said, "But I'll try anything for 6 months." And believe it or not, that was 31 years ago, November. Crazy, huh? Time flies.
Yeah.
So I've been here most of my life, and with the Americana LLC family for 25 out of those 31 years.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That's awesome, and that's so great. I mean, I know your mom was such a obviously big influence in your business and in your life, because I used to see all your posts, and yeah, such a great lady. And tell us a little about how you do your business now, just so that people on here can understand what you actually do, because it's a little different, obviously, than most of the other teams in our company.
Right. So when I got to Vegas, I was managing 2 properties privately for investor commercial. I've always been in commercial. So I was sent here to turn them around. There were older projects downtown that had some environmental issues and vacancy issues and so forth. So they sent me here to kind of turn that around, and basically that was, manage the investments. So once I got here and the town was on fire, that's all I just was doing. I've never sold. People always are amazed at this. I've never sold a piece of real estate. I've never even represented myself in the purchase of real estate. I always have somebody else do that. But so I just got into the specialty. Got hired by Mark Stark in 1994 to do commercial property management. And, that's what we've been doing. So we just specialize in an investor buys a commercial building in Las Vegas that needs to be managed and looked after. And that's kind of what our team does. So our team specializes in, it's strictly commercial. We do leasing and management. We don't do any sales. We will help agents that are involved in, we have a lot, this last couple of years, we've really picked up a lot of what we call resi-commercial relationships, where a residential agent with a company comes to us with a lead. And rather than just take a name and a phone number and give them a check if we ever get one, we bring them into the deal and we work shoulder to shoulder, provided that their broker, of course, lets them do that. And most of them, we haven't had a problem with that. But that's what we do. We specialize in commercial, and we are very friendly with the residential agents, and we'll work hand in hand with them.
Yeah, because you guys also do single-family homes. You have a lot of single-family homes that you manage for people as well, correct?
Yeah, actually, this is a good update. So on March 1st, Josh and the team, they do the residential, Josh, Jackie, Jordan, and Laura, they went off, and they now have the camper group. Every good team divides itself every now and then and multiplies again, right? So Josh is off. We wish him nothing but the best of luck, and we are strictly commercial now. So our team handles, as we always have, we've got 6 on our team that just do commercial real estate management, and then Josh is off on his own now doing just residential management. So, yeah, but we did, you're right, for about the last 9 years, we did both residential and commercial. And so we've kind of split the team up a little bit. As I said, the older crowd still does the commercial, and the young guys and gals still do the residential.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I didn't realize you guys were split right down the middle as far as he did most of the residential and you did most of the. But I knew that you guys were separating the team up, and I didn't know it had already happened March 1st, a month ago. So great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Oh yeah, no, it's, you know, he earned it. He came on board when he was 16, and when we rejoined Americana, now Prudential, then Berkshire, I'm always going back to the beginning. You know, he said, "Hey, I want to manage houses." I'm like, "Knock yourself out. I can't spell residential, nor do I want to learn how to, and so I'll stay in my lane." But that's one thing. You know, later on you have some other questions, and I'll answer it then. But so yeah, he single-handedly built the residential division. And we will continue to support each other. But it was you know, change is good, right? Change is good. It's the resistance to change that sometimes paralyzes people.
So true. So true. It's the resistance to change that paralyzes people. And, you know, I love the saying, the only constant is change. And when you're constantly changing and evolving and growing, your business gets better. But, you know, the thing about it is, though, whether you're residential sales or commercial leasing or I mean, the process is basically the same, isn't it? You got to be proactive. You got to create leads, right?
Oh yeah. It's just a different language, and you know, a lot of people are. It's very interesting how, and I get it from my perspective. Trying to do a residential deal I would be lost, and we always hear that, you know, oh, commercial is so sophisticated. So it really isn't. That's the secret. It really isn't. It's just It's a different type of language. We talk mostly black and white, profit and loss, those kinds of things. But, you know, a transaction is a transaction. Prospecting is prospecting. So, you know, we love to have sit down with residential people that are just terrified of it, and then they realize it really isn't that hard. It's not that hard. And I'm sure it's the same with us. If I learned how to, you know, I used to put out open house signs in Scottsdale when I was 10 years old, running across Scottsdale Road for my mother. There at Scottsdale McDonald's, a lot of those subdivisions were just coming in. They were just being built, Rick. They were just being built in the 70s. And I'm running across the street with the metal open house signs back when they weighed about 20 pounds, and they were made out of all steel and metal, and helping her get those out. So, and not to mention those heavy MLS books. God, I think that was the reason I decided to do commercial. Commercial is a calculator, a pencil, and a briefcase. Yeah, it's contracts. Everything's contracts. We don't carry a whole lot. So anyway.
Right. So it's more logic and less emotion, where with residential, it's a lot of emotion and, you know, and that where things can get heated because I've done a little commercial too. And commercial is like you just said, it's the balance sheet, it's black and white, it's, you know, what are the numbers, right? And then you make a decision.
Right. It's all about profit and loss. And I mean, there's some emotions into it, but not much. You know, it's same thing for management. You know, managing commercial, you know, when we get calls, our phone doesn't ring and things are good. So we specialize. We're managing 70 different projects throughout Las Vegas and a couple in Southern California right now. And
cool.
when our phone rings, it's, you know, I see my rent increased. The expenses were, you know, not what they were supposed to be on what you're billing us. Different things like that. It's all, you know, black and white stuff. Whereas on a residential, we used to field some of those calls. You know, you're dealing with where people live, and people are having birthday parties, and the roof's leaking, and it's just a whole different animal. So you got to really be patient on both sides. But one's a little bit more emotional, one's a little bit more bottom line.
Awesome. Give us an example. I mean, you don't have to give names or anything. Like a particular property, like you said, you have 70. Like what's in a good example of a property that you're currently managing?
Oh, no, we could definitely give you names. So our team, we have, I would say, if we broke it down percentage-wise, you know, commercial, you've got commercial types just like residential, you have types. So you have, in the commercial field, you have retail, which is shopping centers and anywhere you go to buy stuff. You have office, which is pretty self-explanatory, and then you have industrial. Now, our portfolio of properties is about 62% of it is retail shopping centers. Then followed by a little bit of office and a little bit of residential, obviously the industrial. So we manage a shopping center, you know, right here in Henderson. I was out there this morning before the call on Windmill. You know, it's great property. We painted the stripes in the parking lot, did some improvements over the weekend, and they did take down the barriers. So, of course, I get the phone calls. You know, I'm opening my shop, and there's nowhere for my people to park. Those kinds of things. You got to always be on the go, as we say. So we manage a lot of shopping centers, everywhere people go do their daily stuff. Somebody's got to manage those. The owner buys it, but he usually doesn't manage it. And most of our owners are out of state. Most of those being from California as well. We have some from other states, but mostly California.
So your calls are a little different. Like when you see a mall change hands or something like that, is that an opportunity, or do you just keep in touch with people that currently you're not managing?
So our prospecting, I'm proud to say most of our business for the last 10 years has been referral. And later on, you had a couple of questions about what my goal was, so I'll answer it then. But most of ours did. But back in the prospecting days, the best time to get into a property and the people to talk to are the people that are doing the brokering side of it. So people representing buyers and people representing sellers. That's who are, basically are, if you want to say, that's who my prospects are. Not necessarily the client, but the people doing the transaction. And because at that time, if it's an out-of-state owner, they typically will not keep the existing manager on board for whatever reason. I really, a lot of times I try and figure that out. Well, we want to change it up, or, the reason it's being sold is mismanaged, and so we don't want to keep that person on, and those kinds of things.
Right.
We've actually been pretty fortunate to, when a property changes hands, they keep us on board. So we've also been terminated. So I'm not going to say we're perfect, but owners will buy it, and they'll before they even close escrow, they've identified their manager. As I always say, commercial buildings, commercial property management is 24/7, 365. So you can't say, well, we're going to close on the property, let's get that done, and then in a week or two we'll figure out who's going to manage it. Well, no. You've got people that are operating 9 to 5, or 24 hours a day. They need, the switchover has to happen at the same time close of escrow happens. So when a property closes, we just had one on Friday. When a property closes escrow, actually thanks to Jack Woodcock and our new Summerlin campus, one of his clients bought a property and he brought us in on the deal to be the manager. And so we were right there at the same time of the closing, and then ran right out to the property and introduced ourselves. So there's really it's a seamless transition.
That's great.
Otherwise,
what a great guy to work with you.
Close over the weekend. Yeah, you close on Friday, you don't do anything until Monday. Something happens on Saturday. What do we do? So it's yeah. I
gotcha. All right. So you mentioned it too. So let's take right into it. So we know you had a great year. This year, this past year, 2024, 2025, how much are you going to thrive in 2025? Let's hear that goal, my man.
Well, so our goal this year is a little bit different, and thank you for recognizing that. We did pull down. I missed you. We don't have any conventions, or we didn't have one last year. So we ended up being number one. We ended up being the number one commercial team within the U.S. again for Berkshire Hathaway, which is
congratulations.
I think that makes 11 out of 15 years. Yeah, we've been the number one team across the nation. And then, number 24 overall, which we're pretty happy about. And then number 4 within the Nevada property structure. So our goals this year are a little bit changed. As I said, change is good, right? Our thing is, where is our bread buttered? And that is within the management. So continue to stay on the management. But also, we've been really seeing that there's a lot of change going in residential. And what's happening in commercial, most of the commercial agents are my age, in their mid-50s, going into 60s. There's not a lot of young blood coming up in the commercial. So our goals really have been to bring on some young talent, which we've had some pretty good success with this year. Bring on some young talent and introduce them to the commercial, as well as introduce take away that fear of the residential agent that's not really sure where residential is going to go, but they want to maybe get into commercial, since commercial usually follows residential like night follows day. We're ramping up. We've had a really good season, and that is to bring on board some people that maybe want to switch from houses to buildings. And so our goal is really to continue to build on the team and offer the platform for those that want to get into. One thing about management is if I do this month what I did last month, I'm going to get paid about the same amount of money. That's the thing we know. We get paid commissions based upon how from the management of properties. So it's a long way to go when we don't do sales, but we do. A property, our average property will pay $1,500 to $1,000 a month. So in order to do the numbers that we have to, you can see where that goes. So we, as far as the management fees, so it's really to build on our team, provide a platform for people to have their own business within a business, just like the company does on the management side, and to get more people involved in commercial, being that a lot of us are starting to age out.
Right.
And that's a national thing, for instance. And another thing is I believe, it's been a while since I traveled, but I believe we're almost 50-50 as far as women and men in commercial real estate.
Wow.
There was a big uptick. There was a big uptick. So there's a lot of great talent and a lot more even playing fields in the commercial side. So if you're out listening to this, don't be afraid to maybe look into commercial, provided that your management likes you, right? And so, we love having somebody come on board and wanting to learn.
That's great. That's great. I had a young agent who's in my coaching for residential who joined Jennifer. You probably know her, June. I think she's right. I think you've met her. June,
I do.
Right out of,
I know her very well. She came and talked to me first, and I said, she's one that, and I love it. She's focused on business opportunities, and I said, Jennifer, so that would be June's great. I see her at all the functions, which is another one of my little comments down below. But I see her everywhere. She's doing great.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and okay, and here's a question right out of the blue, because you said something that sparked my interest, because I'm just guessing there was a time when COVID opened back up where it looked like a lot of companies were headed in the way of working out of the home, and maybe the building's going to be, but it seems now that it's right back to the way and starting to grow again as far as people going back to the office, working out of the place, right? It seems like it's making a total recovery as far as that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I will add is that there's certain business types that we're seeing. So we manage, as I said, about the second largest bit of our portfolio is the office buildings. Now, we've got several office buildings that are very similar to the Southwest office. We actually manage a couple in that same area and within one of them within the park. And the types of businesses that are coming back into play, we're having a big uptick in the, I'm using that word uptick a lot, in the medical side of it. Now, the businesses, and I think you may see this in Phoenix. I know we see it in our office. The businesses that didn't necessarily, they kind of learned that they don't need the office as much. I know that our office probably, except for Tuesdays and other days of the week, realtors are really working from their home and their car a lot more than at least that's my opinion, from the office, because we're in there 9 to 5. We're there all day long. As you remember when we shared an office, we're there all day.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that. So that has really hurt the business in terms of the industries that really kind of either they're all independent contractors and they just provided some beautiful glass offices for their teams, and those teams realize they don't need to go to the office. Now, me personally, I'm at home right now. I work half the day from home, and I work the other half from the office. If or home or on property, as I tell my clients. If I'm not at the office, it's not because I'm playing golf. I'm at your property making sure things are okay. So it's been interesting. There's also a lot of people that are tired of working. They're tired of working at home. They want to have that camaraderie with their people. Yeah. So those types of businesses. That's what I'm finding. Accounting and insurance, endorsing, those people are all back in the office if either they wanted to be or their employers are telling them you got to be in the office. Government offices, same thing. They're shaped. We're seeing a big change in that without getting into too much politics. But we're seeing that there's a lot of offices going to be coming on board that the government doesn't need to rent anymore. So it's,
Right.
I think it's got, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's interesting to see that post-COVID, there's a lot of industries that will not be coming back, or at least they won't be coming back and taking the 10,000 square foot office building and the big space. They'll just put in, the other thing we see is a lot of the businesses, a lot of the, the pretty stuff on the 215, added a lot of fun stuff like ping pong tables and foosball tables and, this and that,
Right.
to try and make it more of a fun. We're finding people aren't
Fun
using
vibe.
those things. They're not using that.
Yeah.
They're not, They're using the kind of stuff that, our good friend Gordon did, the high tops, the bullpen areas, the small conference rooms. They're using that a lot more than they are the toys. So it's very interesting to see what happens with that. But COVID definitely changed our industry.
Oh, yeah.
Now, on the same side, COVID also gave a huge shock to industrial. We can't find industrial space for people, for shipping and for packaging and for, any of that. Industrial booming, followed by retail.
Yeah, that's great.
Retail, quick serve restaurants. I'm sure you see it. How many drive-through and pull-up places do you see now? Grocery shop. This weekend we ordered a few things and said, you know what? Let's just stay home with Stephanie and I. Let's just stay home, and we ended up yesterday was my birthday, so we ended up getting a birthday cake delivered to the house. Thank you. Another one of those annual things that we have to celebrate, right?
Yeah.
So it's just post-COVID, commercials doing well. Bottom line is commercials doing well. We have great occupancy with the exception of the office. And I think that'll continue to get strong as people either are forced to go back to the office or people get bored working in their pajamas.
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my favorite question, Chris, that's all awesome stuff. And that's a very insightful. I love to hear it because that's not one I'm involved with all the time, but I have my suspicions by being in real estate. But whether you're in residential, business sales, business leasing, malls, okay, in order to be successful in this business, give them your top 3 things that they should focus on.
Every year I do these things with you, it's pretty much the same, so that's a good thing.
That's okay, though.
First thing I always say that I learned the hard way, my first 3 years in business at the old Americana on Paradise, I was floundering. I was trying to do a little of everything, and I did a lot of nothing. So specialize. Pick a specialty, whatever that is, whether it's luxury, not just commercial or residential, but within the category. When you ask people, what does Chris McGarey do? Most of them will say he's a commercial property manager. He manages commercial investment properties. You will never hear them say he sells buildings, represents buyers or sellers, and on this, so that's it. So specialize. Get focused on what you want to do, and if it's not working, change it up. But don't give up before the miracle happens. Stick with it, because I see that a lot. People get in business, they're not getting checks right away, and they quit. So specialize and stay focused and don't give up. Second thing is to volunteer. I wish I had started earlier in my career, but no doubt, it is what it is. All of our different things, whether it's the association or, as you know, I've got a few designations and they have their own associations. It's to volunteer. There's boards and there's all that, because that's another way to network. So, a lot of these industries, we have lunches every month. We have different things. So volunteer and get on boards with whether it's, women in real estate. I know that the ARIA, all the different I call them alphabet soup associations, because they're all named by letters, CCIM, CPM, IRM, those things, is to get involved. Once I started doing that, I started meeting a whole bunch of new people that could help me with it. And the last thing is, enjoy life and don't wait. Recently, I've seen a lot of people that I have grown up with in the industry. They push themselves. They say, boom. One of our former managers, he and his wife worked their tail off, put their kids through law school and all kinds of things, and then went to retire, and they both passed away within 6 months of each other at the age of 63. And so take the time to enjoy the life. Like, I love what you do. Every year, I think it's right after all the awards, you're in Mexico. And I love that.
Exactly.
I used to say my goal was to every 6 weeks to go somewhere that's not where I live. And so enjoy life, you know. We work hard, and our kids, if we have any that we need to leave money to, they'll do fine without all the money. So enjoy the life, and, you know, don't wait to enjoy, but be responsible, right? So those are my three things: specialize, volunteer, and enjoy life.
I love it, Chris. And once again, I definitely think specializing is critically important. Volunteering, I'm just going to throw out a little shout out here. Don't forget, we have the Sunshine Kids Golf Tournament that I kind of put together every year. It's my second annual year, I should say. So if you want to get involved with that, that would be splendiferous, Chris. I appreciate that. And then, you know,
send me, how do I do that? I don't golf, but I'm sure to help out.
Yeah, you can sponsor a hole. You can sponsor a hole. Have Lisa send you the stuff over there.
Perfect.
That'd be awesome. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we had a couple. I sponsored a hole last year. Alberto sponsored a hole. We had a couple agents sponsoring a hole, but especially for you, because your business stands out. All these people that you mentioned are your prospects, but also the agents in the office are also your prospects too. So it works out really well for you because you're different. Yeah,
absolutely.
That would be great.
I didn't touch on that, but agents, you sell a house to a doctor that just got here from California. When they know they're going to move, what do they do first? They want to find out where they're going to live. So they pick their house, and then they're like, well, I'm a private practice. I need an office. That's what a lot of our stuff is from the agents in the office after they close on a house. Then they say, hey, I've got a referral for you. I sold him a house in Summerlin. He needs an office in Summerlin. Boom, there we are.
Right. So. I love it. I love it. All right. Awesome, my man. Any final words you want to leave these lovely people? This has been really good.
Last thing I have a bunch of things to say, is stick with your brokerage. As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, I've only worked for two companies in the last 37 years now. First one was Marcus & Millichap, which I highly respect. It's been a company of mine since I was 9 years old. I wanted to be there. And the second one is the Americana family. So, stay with the brokerage. It's not going to be any better every time you switch, in my opinion.
Right.
But that's just been I've stayed here, had great opportunities provided to me or asked of me to go to other companies. I said, no, I'm Americana all the way. So stick with the brokerage and have a great week.
Yes, I appreciate it, man. And you know what? Next year, when we go back to the convention, I'm not sure where they're going to have it, but
Seattle.
It was supposed to.
Seattle.
Yes, Seattle. That's right. It is going to be Seattle. That's right.
And before that, we have the summit in Scottsdale. We have the summit.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that. The summit, which is coming up in September, down in Scottsdale, out at the Princess area, near Kierland, up in North Scottsdale.
I know exactly what that is. I looked at that for our awards a couple of years ago. So, but and what I was going to say, Chris, is I look forward to in Seattle going to see you. Accept your award again for #1 in commercial, my man. So you keep it rocking. I really appreciate you taking your time. And like I said, it's been a pleasure all 11 years I've been here with you, my man. So we'll keep it rocking.
Likewise. Take care.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.